Hello, people, and welcome to BTG. This is your host, Mr. Shaker. You may know me from such songs as After Call and You Should Have Took the. And today, I wanted to continue where I left off previously on my topic of Black Lives Matter. Now, the one issue that did happen was that even though they did have their methods of protesting and everything, my main issue is not with like how when they encounter individuals from the All Lives Matter movement, which in itself, and let's be honest, it doesn't exist. It's only to counteract their movement. Because I mean, if you did have an All Lives Matter movement, even though somebody says Black Lives Matter, which really in itself wasn't supposed to mean only black people matter. Because if that was the case, then, well, the movement would be kind of stale, so to speak. Even though it is, but there are other reasons why. But not in this reason. But I think like the issue is that I think that people have misinterpreted that meaning of the Black Lives Matter, or even what do you call it, like the Black Panthers. I mean the ones back in the day, not the new Black Panther Party. Now, the ones back in the day, whenever they said Black Power, it never meant the same thing as white power. White power always meant oppress, or let's stay in charge. We're afraid of losing our power as the top class, so let's preserve it by keeping down those who do not fit the quote unquote white features, so to speak. So thing is, that was what white power meant. It was about oppressing. This was about the Klan back in like post Civil War era, and that is what the issue was. Now, the Black Power movement, which occurred I believe it started sometime in the late 60s, that was the movement of fighting oppression, so to speak, because you have to think about it. The fact that we have the notion of black or white or night and day, well, not night and day, but how black and white are associated, is associated with the good and evil, similar to how you have the Republican and Democrat. It's like you only have those two. It's like you only have those two categories, which is funny because there are more than one of those categories. Which is kind of interesting because when you think about it, I know someone who would think that people only go in the category of white or black. I remember time I was on a bus. I saw these individuals who, they just looked like they were just Drake's skin tone. And they could have been mixed, could have been Latino. I really didn't know. Someone asked me, "Are the people that are on this bus, were they black or white?" And I'm thinking, what if they were from Japan, or what if they were that Asian, not like the South. What do you call it, like Southeast Asian? Not like the Indian or Pakistani or even Bangladeshian. Southeast. I'm talking about like the Oriental type. Well, you know what I mean. Actually, no, I guess that's the Southeast, or is that just Far East? Well, Now, my thing is, if you were to have individuals from that place, and then you say what category you go in, black or white, then I guess that would make them white, and then the Latinos would be black, like John Leguizamo, which does interest me because I believe that Antonio Banderas is from Spain, though I don't think that people would call him white, even though he is European, which kind of still boggles me on that concept. Just that meaning of what race actually means. But anyways, Black Lives Matter. Not even the Black Lives Matter, but the what do you call that? The well, actually, yeah, the Black Power movement itself, that always just kind of represented the notion of, what would you call it? Yeah, the Black Lives Matter movement always kind of represented the, oh, not Black Lives Matter, the Black Power movement always kind of represent. It was supposed to represent the empowerment after being called this and that for so, dang, I did something down there. Anyway, as I'm saying, after being, when you think about it, being ridiculed for so long, being looked upon as being inferior for so long, as lower than maggots, so to speak. After after having that certain class or that class inferiority for all those years, they're saying, no, your black is beautiful. You are, like, the way you are, you're fine. It's okay to be black. It's okay for that. And that was the idea, because a lot of people had to straighten their hair, had to cover up their they couldn't keep that because it just wasn't acceptable. Now, I mean, people now they straighten their hair even though they don't have to, but that's a bit of the epigenetics, and it's been accepted into the culture so long, it's like, why change it? And I think that's the issue with certain people's mentality, but you gotta understand is that socially people change. They don't change that quickly, which is why you have some certain policies or certain individuals who. So this is why things seem similar to how they were years ago, is because of how things were, how things were decades ago. Like the prologue does affect the present. You cannot deny that. One can't say this happened so long ago. I mean, if you want to talk, like when people talk about what has happened long ago, say, oh, this happened 100-something years ago, so it shouldn't affect you. Like right after that, everything changed. Like these people were given 40 acres and a mule, or they were given at least a decent wage, and yep, all that problems were resolved. No, it didn't happen like that. You know what I know it. The Spanish bull down the block knows it. That these people had to encounter all these other issues. And the thing is, when people talk about like how racism is started, it is from ignorance, and it starts from ignorance, and it's kept alive because of ignorance. And it's not like ignorance, like let's be mad, like, oh, these people are ignorant. Like some people think, oh, these people are ignorant, let's punish the people for being ignorant. It's like, no, let's inform them. If they are ignorant, that means they generally do not know. Some people don't want to know because it affects their beliefs. And some people, and I know some people like to call them Klan or alt-right just because, I mean, Klan is one organization, but then you have alt-right, which is more or less formless, which you can now accuse anyone of being affiliated with because of how loose the members are, and it's just based on that idea, which I believe, even though it can benefit some groups, or some people are thinking, oh, it'll benefit us because we have no leader. However, it also will work against you because anyone can be considered that. So if you're not even part of it, you can get accused of that. And even though you can say it does lose its value, I don't believe it will, because the individuals in such a movement can be seen as a threat to, like, even American values themselves. Because you listen to some of the things I heard from the alt-right movement, where they stated that, at least one person said, the only thing I care about is, dang, it's another. I tried to build a little hallway here, but it's like there's another opening. I'm going to have to explore that later. But anyway, as I was saying, you have individuals in there where they had this odd combination for me. Like they'll say race, nation. They'll say like race, nation, and I think something else. Jeez. Wait. Alright, steady. Oh no. Nah, I'll probably hit one of them later if they come up. I don't know, I'm gonna get supplies from, because usually they drop supplies when you take them out. But anyway, this says something about like race, country, and something else. I forgot the other value. Or it was like freedom, race, and country, which I'm thinking that's kind of an odd combination. like once you say your country, once you talk about the country, and once you talk about the country itself, I'm thinking you should include other individuals within the country. Which I don't know that. I mean, I have to get into like the alt-right thing later though, because for me, they're just a bit. They're even sillier than the movement I'm trying to discuss now. But anyways, the Black Power movement, it was supposed to represent. It's supposed to represent uplifting black people because they were oppressed, and in doing so, after uplifting the black people, like how the Black Panthers were trying to do, because you got to understand that black represented the lower class. You know, they represented the bottom of the pit. So after being in the bottom, the idea was if you elevate the people that were black, eventually all the other individuals like Latinos, Asians, and even like poor white folks, you know, back in that time, they would be elevated as well. Because the idea was that if you help out black people, you're going to help out. It's like if you help out the one group, you're going to help out everyone else. Just because if you're saying, okay, we're going to focus on underprivileged, poor individuals within this community, and then you have this in community, you have them mixed with different individuals, but they're just poor, then, I mean, it's not like you're going to say help out all the, like if you've seen that movie Lean On Me with Morgan Freeman, when he said, look at the white, when he's the one teacher, says, see the white guy right there? Now he is white, and he's going to the school just like you. So there's no reason to mistreat him because he's in the same circumstance just as you, and that's what that movement represented. So when people were saying Black Power, meant it was also synonymous with power to the people, and that was the idea. Was if you help them out, you're going to help out everyone else, because no one's going to say, okay, we're going to help out. Like if you're in a classroom, we're going to help out all the black people, and then you're going to see the white person who's now held back or they're not having support. It's like, no, you're not going to just leave them in the corner and not help them out. That doesn't make any sense. That's not what it's supposed to represent. Now these days, since they kind of got through, if you recall my last video, jeez, thought it would take not that much. Alright, he's gone. Well, looks like he didn't drop anything. But anyways, as I was saying, the movement itself, it was supposed to be, like I said, back in the day, it was sort of uplifting for all the people that had been around. But after a while, after having an open hand, so to speak, saying, okay, we're going to help out all of you. We're going to try to help you out, help us out, help you out, help us out. You know, kumbaya. You eventually turn into how we wound up like W.E.B. Du Bois, where he just moved to, I believe it was Uganda. I forgot which country it actually was, but eventually he got tired of how slow the race relations were moving in America, and he actually moved to a different country. As some people will say, oh, if you don't like it here, move to another country, which is kind of a weird argument. Because when you think about it, you're telling them, I don't want to fix what's going on here, so why don't I leave? Which isn't the way, this isn't how the country was supposed to be. And I can't say founded, but this is not what the country represents. You don't leave, you help out. And if they want people to leave, then they maybe wind up part of the problem. It's like, no, you want to change things here. Oh, there we go. Jeez. I mean, the thing is, you want people that want to change the society. And the thing is, you can't say if you don't like it, let's leave, because at the end of the day, you cannot keep leaving. You can't keep running. You're gonna have to stand up at some point. And that's where you have these. So that's where you have these movements. And the issue is, which I don't like, is they wind up. Oh dear. Wait. All right, gotcha. All right, but like I was saying, you have these movements where I don't like how they wind up, where they lost the principle of, like, I mean, hopefully that whole Black Lives Matter thing does return to the idea where it can eventually turn into All Lives Matter. I do hope that does occur later. However, right now, the idea of the All Lives Matter, which some people think, oh, it will get diluted. I don't believe so, because if you turn it to a charitable organization, you can help out all underprivileged individuals, and that is supposed to be that's supposed to be the idea of it, because you don't want to leave anyone behind. And the thing is, like I said with the Black Lives Matter movement, I said the issue is that they're not like how the Black Panthers are. They're kind of similar to how the new Black Panther Party identified, which actually, oh dear, what are they doing here? What the frick? So as I was saying, no. Get the look. Man, bounce. Jeez, where did he come from? But anyways, as I was saying, the Black Lives Matter movement. The issue is that it kind of got mixed with the Nation of Islam, the Malcolm X movement, which if you look at how Malcolm X is, it wasn't as radical as it is now. Like now, it just became kind of a parody of itself, or like a caricature, so to speak. Because now they're kind of just the anti-white, anti-police. Well, I don't think all of them are. Because even the one guy, when he's talking about the person not standing for the flag, and he said, look what's happening right now. I was telling you this is exactly what happened. It's because of this is the pattern that I'm seeing. So let's try to help this out. And the guy's like, well, if they don't like it here, they should leave. And it's like, there you go. That ignorant individual who's going to wind up causing people more their lives because of his rhetoric, his ignorance. Like, oh, I'm right because I'm the person on the news. Like, no, you shouldn't think of you shouldn't be. So this is your nobility, the idea that you believe that you are superior, that you're correct. That narcissist attitude is what's going to wind up hurting more individuals, because you have to acknowledge there is a problem and you say, let's fix it. But trying to shut down everyone else because of it, or shutting down the other group because you don't believe that they're correct, and all you believe is put more individuals with firearms. Put more individuals with firearms, or more policing, or heavier policing, more militant policing is going to actually help these people out. No, that doesn't work out. I mean, even Tupac made a song about a letter to the president where one of his lyrics was, he said, "Dear Mr. President, tell me to do where these iggas act up in the hood. Send more troops." Was the response, which is, if all you're going to do is send, and this was during the Clinton administration, if you're going to keep sending more troops to try to solve the problems with, like, socioeconomic problems, then all you're going to keep doing is you're going to wind up creating a failed state in these communities, which you see in such cities as Chicago, and I'm not sure other cities, but even any city in the Rust Belt, which is the East Coast, you're gonna encounter these communities is because of how even though it wasn't really from the police standpoint, it's just there's other factors, so to speak. Just because after the industrial age, what are you going to do with all these other people in this new information age? Everyone has like a help desk job. That might be the case, or involved with hardware, software, or whatnot. And you could get everyone involved with some sort of tech, or just internet involved, so to speak, like have all virtual careers. If you want to know what I'm doing now, I'm just gathering some snow so that I could probably make a larger cross, because GPS doesn't really exist in this game, so I guess the bigger the sign, the further I can travel out and not lose my place. Eventually I will have to travel out in this game, or would want to travel. Can't keep digging underground. I'm not a mole after all. But, however, anyways, as I was saying, the idea is to try to As I said, the idea is to try to bring these people together, but they can't bring themselves together until, you know, they try to, I can't say resolve their differences, because that's not exactly going to happen, but you have to communicate. You need to communicate ideas. Like I seen the All Lives Matter party, and they had their Confederate, I don't believe they did have some Confederate flags and stuff, but then you had the other individuals that were protesting that were Black Lives Matter. And then they walked up to each other and they said, all lives matter. Said, yeah, I agree with you. All lives do matter. And it's like, you believe Black Lives Matter? Yes, I do believe them. I believe all lives. That's exactly what we're trying to say. People just don't believe that Black Lives Matter, so this is why we're trying to get the message. We're asking questions. And I think that's the issue. I mean, the thing is, you have like 3 forms of Black Lives Matter. You have a statement, a question, and an exclamation. The statement is saying Black Lives Matter. You know, and they're like, okay, we got you. Some people might disagree with that. You got the question where it's like, do they matter? And then some people might say no, or don't even give them a good response. You have the riots, which are the Black Lives Matter exclamation point. Like, oh, yes, we do matter. And that's the, you know, that's the idea behind that. But I believe that eventually these movements could come together. And then if they do eventually come together, they'll wind up... Oh, it's getting late here. Oh dear. I forget where the hand has to go or the arrow has to point before I have to get inside. But I might have to move it now. But I'm just thinking eventually these movements will get together and they'll try to focus on the real problems. Which isn't the government. Like, don't think of it like that. It's just, there's other problems besides. Like, there's no real tyrannical government. It's just the issues that we have in society. And we get to focus on that later. Well, I'll have to continue this topic later. There's a lot to this video. It's probably going to be a series. But this is Mr. Shaker. And I'm out.